So yeah, man. All right, welcome to the Quién Tú Eres podcast, bro. Excited to have you. And we don't got that much time and a lot to talk about. So let's kick it off with the first question, man, that I always ask people. When you hear the word authenticity, or when people tell you to be your most authentic self, what comes to mind for you?
For me, it's for me to be myself. It's for me to be, playing some dembow in the spot. You know what I mean? For me to be myself is to me tell people in the specialty coffee world that I drink coffee out of a greca, bro. Like in the specialty coffee world, a greca is not a respected instrument to brew coffee. To be honest with you, it's like you got to get
Really?
all these expensive coffee makers and things like that. And for me to walk up in the building, like, you know what? I embraced it like a month ago. I was like, you know what? I like brewing in the greca. Like it's my background right now. It's a little greca, and I'm just like, yo, like this is how we give it up. That's it. Like, so for me, it's like challenging the status quo. Like what it's like what people think it's cool or what they want you to think is cool, and you conform to that. For you to go against that is you being you. So for me, it's me being myself, me talking my Spanglish, me talking like I'm from the Bronx, you know what I mean? And letting people know where I'm actually from instead of trying to sugarcoat it. And letting people know how I brew my coffee. I mean, me gusta con mi grequi, that's it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Bro, that's so funny, man. Nah, it's interesting though, because you go with, I mean, it's not like you go into a coffee shop and like people are making things with grecas, right? Like they're doing no
Right,
pour overs. They got the espresso machines and
right,
all of that
right.
stuff. And I definitely want to get into that, man. But it's interesting, like the first few words that you said were like Greca, Dembow, and the Bronx, right? I'm
Yeah.
just gonna assume you're Dominican, but am I right?
Essentially, yeah.
Tell me
Yeah.
about where you grew up, man. And just that, like your family, like what was that like growing up?
Yeah, so I was born in Dominican Republic in Bani,
Ah,
and I came to the Bronx when I was 8 years old with my family. So we're a family of immigrantes, and I was raised here pretty much. I went to, you know, elementary, middle school, and high school and college here. And I grew up in the Bronx. My whole life I lived in the Bronx. The only time I didn't really live in the Bronx was when I went away to college. I went upstate to the University of Rochester. I was there for a year and some change, and that was my only experience. So I grew up in the Bronx, Fordham. You know what I mean? I got to see it all. I saw Cardi B one time walking with like her heels at like 5 in the morning after the club before she became Cardi B. So I'm just a kid from the Bronx, in the hood. Um, that's pretty much it. That's where I'm from. Yeah,
that's interesting, man. Cardi B back in the day, that's crazy.
yeah, yeah. So to give you a little bit more background, because I was actually just writing a piece on this new product that I'm launching, and it's called the Greca blend, and it's literally a blend of coffee for the Greca. It's something that I created that I wanted to, actually evoke my background. Where am I from? Who's Hector? Who's Don Carvajal Café? Where did this originate? And it's a blend that I'm coming up with, or that I came up with, to make people feel like they're in the campo in DR in Dominican Republic, and that they're drinking that coffee out of a wooden fire. Although it's definitely not the same out of an anafe of just wooden fire and the flames and the ashes. It's not the same taste and feel, but I'm trying to get you as close as possible to that. And I was really writing the description and the blurb because I'm putting a note card in it to give people a background of where did this come from. And that's where I was tapping into. I was like, I'm this kid from this campo in the countryside of DR, and I was raised picking onions and watermelons and climbing mango trees. And in the morning, this was an essential part to my culture, like the greca. Like this little coffee maker was the first thing OGs did in the morning every day. And if it wasn't that, it was the little colador, the old little sock,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
la media vieja. So I was writing all of this down, and I was like, yo, that's crazy. It's so much culture. And, this Greca blend for me is like, I want to create a product that celebrates my community, the Latinx, the Hispanic, the Latino community. And that's just Greca. And it's interesting that you say that because I was literally just pouring my heart out into this blurb, and now you say that. So that was a little interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
It's so interesting because like I've always like I grew up with my mom, grandma, like making it on the greca and all those things, but I didn't know how much like of a statement that was in the coffee world. Because like I don't know, like for whatever reason when you were talking, I thought about it like
Mm-hmm.
the art world, how like graffiti and even like street art, like you'll
Yeah.
never see those things in museums. But like for example, Banksy, when I went to one of his exhibits, it was saying that his artwork would never be in a museum, and it's because of this idea, not that it's bad art, it's just like
Yeah.
the pretentious people that like call the shots on all these things, they just have this idea around like how art is supposed to be made. And like, I'm wondering if that's the same thing with Greca. Like, I've always just associated with part of the culture, but I didn't know there was such a thing around like, that's not how you're supposed to make coffee.
Yeah. It's very interesting. The Greca, for us, it's such a big statement. You know what I mean? But you don't really realize it. Like I was here with my nephew earlier, and I was showing him coffee, and he was like, "I want to try it," and I'm like, "All right, cool. You can have a sip." And then it's crazy how it's such a big part of our culture. He's like, he looks at me, he's like, "Yo, you really love this coffee stuff, man. Like, you really like this coffee stuff. Abuelita like this coffee stuff. My mom love this coffee stuff. What's up with this coffee stuff?" And I'm like, "Yo, it's just a part of the culture.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's about that life. You know what I mean?" So it's wild how much it's a part of our everyday lives, but we don't really realize it.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to brands like Bustelo and all these other things, and like the Greca and things like that. It's insane. You know what I mean? But when we step back and look at it, it's like, wow, it's crazy.
Yeah. I'm so interested, man. Like, cause part of you growing up in the States, right? You immigrating from DR, like my family immigrated as well, right? And there's part of that narrative that they want us to be a certain thing, right? They have certain expectations for us. So I know, like, you went away to school. Like, did you always have that idea that you wanted to launch your own coffee company, or did you think, like, I don't know, I'm making this up, you were going to go into finance or something?
Yeah, it was very spontaneous. I've always been very entrepreneurial. I've sold candy on the trains. I've sold T-shirts in high school, beanies, the whole nine. I think if you're from the hood, you've sold a little bit of everything, right? So that's just the reality. So I've always been very entrepreneurial. You know what I mean? I grew up with a brother that was always into his business things, and we come from a very poor background, and we've always been hustlers. Like, we always knew, you know, it's not about where we come from, it's about where we're going. And it was always that vision, and it was always there. And we just always loved entrepreneurship because I would see him do his sales, and it was that sense of dopamine, of productivity.
Hmm.
Like if you do sales, the only thing stopping you is yourself. It's on you. You're gonna do sales. You're gonna get your commissions. If you're not making sales, you're not getting commissions. It's that simple, plain and fact. And the thing about sales and being an entrepreneur and being an entrepreneur, it's all about how you tell your story. Everybody has a story. We're all sellable, right? Let's look at it like that. We're all sellable. We all have a story. And growing up, I've always been, friendly. I've always been outspoken. I've always knew that, the terminology that I learned growing up in the hood wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to get to. So I was always like, yo, let me read up a little on a little something. Let me talk to people that talk different, from different communities, from different backgrounds, so I can educate myself on the way different kinds of people speak, the way different kinds of people think. You know what I mean? And that's really what enhanced my brain and my palette of just different ways to deal with people. And by the time I got to college, I had, that entrepreneurial spirit. I had already done things like selling candy on a train. Yo, for somebody to sell candy on a train, that's a big thing, bro. Like,
Yeah.
people don't really think about it, but you're standing in front of full-blown strangers and
Yeah.
you're selling them a product that they don't know where you got from. You ain't got no certifications. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, you're standing up in front of this random crowd, you're doing your pitch, you're pitching them something, and you're convincing them to buy your product. Now, imagine if everybody in the hood knew that that's what they were doing. That's a real part of the business world. You're pitching to random people and you're selling a product. You're showing
Yeah.
them value propositions. Okay, you're hungry. I got this snack, fruit snacks. What's up? $1 each. So, I feel like my life was always, going on this path where I was going to end up with something. I was going to end up doing something. I don't know what it was going to be, but it was going to be something. And one day I drank a really good cup of coffee. And I was like, espérate, this is not that Bustelo,
Espérate.
bro. Espérate, take it easy, papi. I was like, this is not your Bustelo. This is not your Folgers. What is this? And they were like, yo, this is a specialty cup from this part of, Colombia. Se llama El Eje Cafetero. It's like the perfect place in the world, in the center of the world, for you to produce coffee because of the elevation, the temperatures, the soil, the climate. They was just breaking it down, and I was like, wow, I never knew coffee could be so complicated. That's how I looked at it back then. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then I got curious. I was like, yo, let me look this up. Let me research it. And by the time I went back to college, because this is during winter break here in the Bronx,
Hmm.
I was interning somewhere, and I went back to my spring semester, And my professor was like, yo, you guys got to create a marketing plan and a business plan for a certain brand or product. And it's either you use one that's already out there, like Porsche or Comcast or whatever, or you make your own. You can make like a mock product. And I was like, you know what? I'm curious on this coffee thing, and I've been doing research on it. Can I do it on that? And he was like, listen, if your teammates are cool with it, I'm cool with it. And I just need everybody to be on the same page. And he was like, yeah. And we did it. We got curious. And then, throughout college in that class, I got to involve, because typically I've always been the type of guy to have classwork, work, and then like my curiosities. So then it was like, this is a beautiful way to connect my curiosities into classwork and knock two birds out with one stone. And then I
Yeah.
had this class project, and it was me working on my curiosity, which is the coffee world, and then doing my classwork that I had to do because I was a college student. And at the ending of the term, we did the presentation. We actually had real bags of coffee there, presented it. We passed it around the class. My friend came through. She used to work at Starbucks back then on campus because she was a student as well. She pulled up with a French press. Shorty brewed the coffee that we actually came up with, bro. We went full force. Like we
Well, you were
came up.
making your own coffee at that point?
Yeah, like, so the way it went down was we have an entrepreneurship center on campus. It's called the AIM Center for Entrepreneurship. And
Mhm.
they have a small grant for students to go to a conference or attend an event, for entrepreneurship, to enhance skills, to network. And then, it's something you can also use for like a project. And I was like, listen, I just want to make this project more real. Like, I wasn't looking at it as a business back then. I was looking at it as a real experience. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And I was just like, listen, if I could get, $300, I could make this a real product, make it a real experience, and add it to my resume. Like, if I could create a real prototype, a real business plan, a real marketing plan, that's something me and my team could go to a company and be like, listen, I've done that. What's up? I got weight under my belt. You know what I mean? So then that I pitched it, and they actually gave me the funds, and I bought green coffee, raw coffee. I bought the bags. I got a local company to roast it, and then we came through with a full blown product. Like, yo, this is what we talk about. This is it right here. And we brewed it, and lo colamos, and people drank it, and people was like, yo, this is fire. And I wasn't the one who roasted it. It was a local company. But
Sure.
ironically, we sourced good coffee, and then it was roasted properly, and then we packaged it. It was fresh. People rocked with it. We presented it. At the ending of the class, people was like, yo, like, yeah, finished. And I was like, yeah, we finished. We done. That was it. And they was like, yo, I see you got some extra bags at the front of the class. Can we buy that? I was like, I looked at my teammate like, yo, they trying to buy that. They're like, yo, how much? I'm like, well, the presentation said $17.95. Okay. That's the price. They pulled out a 20. I was like, I got no change. They was like, just keep the change. I was like, yo, homie just gave me $20, 20 beans
Yeah, yeah.
for a bag of coffee, bro. My mom buys Bustelo 2 for $5, my man's. This is
Whoa, your
four.
mom buys Bustelo? Hold up.
No. Past tense. I'm talking
Okay,
about.
okay,
I'm talking about in the current time. You know what I mean?
okay,
So
okay. You
so
gotta
so.
clarify. Gotta.
Nah. Chill. So yeah, in the time, right? And that was like, yo, my mom buys Bustelo 2 for $5. Here, somebody just paid me $20. That's 4 times the price for way less coffee. And yeah, bro, class ended. We got the best grade, the whole
That's
shebang.
fire, bro.
And I went to my dorm and I was like, well, let me Google how to research. I mean, how to reserve a company. And I reserved Don Carvajal Café, bro. I was like, yo, the name's available. How do I file an LLC? I did the research. I hit up
Yeah.
my homeboy who knew about that, and then I just got it on and popping, bro. I sold the rest of the coffee, and I just kept on flipping it. I'm still flipping coffee to this day. I'm just like
Yeah, yeah.
flipping, and just keeping it going. So that's literally how that happened. It was like I had a good cup, then it just this interesting path towards like this class project, and then it was just there. Then my teammates were very supportive, and then we presented it. People resonated with it crazy, and then we even had it in the school's dining hall for like a week.
Fire.
We had it at the store and on campus for like a week. It was crazy, and then it just popped off, bro. I started selling on Instagram. I pulled up like, yo, what up, fam? Estoy vendiendo café. If anybody want to support and buy some coffee, just DM me. And people really DM me. People DM'd me, and they was like, how can I pay you? Do you have a website? I was like, yo, homie, Zelle, Cash App,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Venmo, PayPal, lo que tú quieras, bro. It's
Meal,
money's
meal,
money.
meal swipes.
You feel me? Let's talk. So,
Bro, there's
so
so much. There's so much we gotta unpack there, though, man. Like, first of
yeah,
all, can we go back to even like you on the train selling like candy and stuff? Because that is difficult shit, bro. Like, you
facts.
literally got 2 minutes to do all that shit that you spoke about. No,
Facts.
not even. Probably like a minute between train stops, depending how long that shit is.
Facts. Facts.
And you gotta convince people. But besides like the tactical shit, like how like you mentally just being like, I'm gonna just sell candy. Like why? Where were you? Like you gotta have some confidence. Some like was there like what was that, bro? Tell me about that.
It's funny because so fun fact, I was a high school dropout at some point.
Okay.
I was a high school dropout. Was my head just wasn't in the right space. I didn't have the motivation for it, so I stopped going to school. I started working at a car shop, and then my boy was like, "Yo, you're not making money. Where you at?" And we in the hood, like homies, like my homies is getting fly, they getting money. You know, they're like, "Yo, bro, you got to get up on this wave." And I'm looking at him like, "Homie, you sell drugs. I'm not here for that, bro. I'm sorry. I just can't sell drugs, my G. I'm sorry. I'm a whole immigrant. I'll get deported, my G. I'm good, bro. But apart from ethical reasons, I can't. You know what I mean?" So then he's like, "Nah, bro, I don't do that, bro. I sell candy." I was like, "Nah, son. Nah." I'm like, "Nah, son. You got the newest J's. You got the True Religions back then. Homie had the polo on. I'm like, "Nah, bro. You ain't selling no candy, son." And he was like, "Bro, just trust me." It took him like 2 weeks to convince me. And he was like, "Yo, we out. I'll buy the candy for you, bro. Like I hold it down for you, and then you just flip it." And I was like, "Nah, bro, homie's capping." Yo, we he took me to BJ's, bro. 149. We went bought some fruit snacks, and then homie took me to 77th Street in Manhattan. That's the hustler spot. And bro, I flipped that in 30 minutes. 2 boxes, bro. And then a box used to bring 24 pieces,
Yeah,
right? So I sold $48 in 30 minutes, and I was like, "Yo, that's crazy," because the box cost me 7. I was like, "Nah, that's wild, bro. I just made $17 profit. Boom,
that's crazy. Yeah,
times 2, right?" So then I'm like, per box, I make 17. And then we used to go during peak hour. And then the first day, I was like, "Yo, it's really like that? It's really like that." And then we came back the next day, bro, and boom, came back again. Then we came back the next day, boom. And then at some point, I went back to high school, which is
you're
another
like
crazy
I
story.
can't do this forever. Yeah,
No, no, no. Yeah, I went back to high school. But I was still doing that after school. And like, yo, at some point, yeah, my boy put me on. And then I really saw that it was a thing. And then I would go there every day. And then we stopped going on the train and we just started standing at a station on 77th Street 6 line money, right? Bro, we used to just stand there, bro, and all these corporate people and all these high-end folks would just come out, bro, and they would see you every day, and they're like, "Listen, you're not selling drugs, you're selling candy. I rock with you." Homies will throw you a 20, like, "Hold it down. I don't want no candy. Just keep on doing you. You in school? Yeah, I bet." Boom, 20 beans. Wow. Somebody else will come through. Boom, $5. Boom. You know what I mean? People would just
yeah, yeah,
appreciate the hustle and respect that you're not taking the other alternatives. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And
That is crazy too, because like if you selling people like strangers on a train candy, right? Like I would think that if you go into a meeting to sell your coffee now, I'm like, that's nothing. You remember what I used to do back in the day?
facts. Nah, it's really like that. Honestly, sometimes I forget about things like that, and it's really like that, bro. We used to really sit in front of random people, talk about fruit snacks. Fruit snacks, like it's only it's only $1. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. Nah,
Tell
yeah,
me about, and it's interesting too, man, because you talk about like everyone has a story, and it's so true, right? But I think some of us are not always as proud to talk about our stories, or sometimes feel like shy to talk about it. But you feel like you seem just so open, like proud, and also like just very thoughtful, man. Just like you thinking back and be like, "Yo, I did this and that." Like I wish other people thought about it like that. But for example, like I've had other guests on, and they're from the Bronx, and they sometimes feel like they don't always want to share that because some people have like negative perceptions of the Bronx, and which is
yeah,
obviously wrong, right? But
yeah.
for you and sharing your story, right, like, are there any thoughts around that, around like just being shy or hesitant, or are you just like, fuck it, this is me?
For honestly, it's just me, bro. Like I try to tell kids from the Bronx, yo, it's okay to be you.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like I want to open up a roasting space in a coffee shop in the Bronx because I want to establish that preference. You like? Do I have people telling me, "Yo, go to Yonkers"? Yes. Do I have people telling me, "Yo, go to certain parts of Westchester"? Yes. Do I have certain people telling me, "Go to Queens, go to Brooklyn, go to Manhattan"? Yes, all day long. But I'm just like, I'm not from there. I want to build where I'm from. You know, if I want to give somebody a job, I want to give it to somebody from my community. And I wouldn't be able to say roasted in the Bronx because we have so many negative connotations towards the Bronx. I want to be able to build against that. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's one of those things where it's like, yo, we from here, bro. Like, people really try to, you know, put all these stereotypes on us and say all these things. And it's just like, bro, you got to embrace it. It's like me being Dominican. They say all Dominican men are no good. Listen,
Oh
ma.
man,
It's like, listen, ma, that's not all of us. And it's the same thing for the Bronx. You feel me? It's like,
bro.
bro, that's not all of us.
How many women run away from you when you tell them you're Dominican?
I'm like, listen, ma, we're not all the same.
Yo, I've legit been on first dates, and I'd be like, she'd be like, "Oh, where you from?" I'd be like, "I'm Dominican." They'd be like, "Wait, what?" I thought you were. They think like I'm black and white, and they'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh no, this is check, please." I'm like, "Yo, chill,
Nah, that's crazy.
bro." Every
That's
time,
crazy.
B, or like you be like back in the day, back in the day, like last year when used to go out and dance and shit, and dancing with them, and they'd be like, "Oh my god, where you from?" Like I didn't expect a black guy to be dancing bachata, so I'm like, "Oh no, I'm Dominican." Gone. They
Wow,
leave me
hilarious.
middle of the dance floor, just run to their girls
That
like, "Nah, I
that
can't do this."
That's crazy. That's crazy. It really be like that, yo. It's and that's the same connotation. So it's like saying you're from the Bronx, or you from the Bronx, or you from that side of town. You know what I mean? It's a little crazy. But us good Dominican men from the Bronx, we going we gonna build it up.
Yeah.
And
Hashtag Dominican men don't cheat.
facts. Hashtag Dominican men don't cheat squared. Double that. Yeah, I agree.
So that's dope, man. Because yeah, I feel like that's what we need, man. Because we often like if you were to open your spot in the Bronx, right, and then people that grew up in the same neighborhood that you did, they pass by your shop and they probably look at you and be like, "Oh, I wonder who owns the place." Like he probably just works there. You know what I mean? But to see that
Right.
representation and then be like, "Nah, I own this joint," be like, "Oh shit." You
Right.
know what I mean? Like it just shows them the possibility, man.
Yeah, I agree, and that's the beautiful part. You know what I mean? Like I've been featured on Telemundo,
Yeah.
NBC, Univision, and a few other networks, and it's beautiful. You know what I mean? Like News 12 as well, which is a local channel,
Mm-hmm.
and I have people DM me all the time, like, "Yo, that's dope. You're from the Bronx. I am too, or I'm Dominican, and I love what you're doing because I don't really see people like us in the game or any
Yeah.
type of game. You know what I mean? In the equity game, in the ownership part."
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people resonate with that, and that's why I love telling my story and being genuine about it. Like, trust me, I have bad days too, bro. People think I'm a genuine superhero, bro. People think I'm a superhero and I'm like not a regular person, and I'm like, yo, I have my days too. You know what I mean? But sometimes the things that like get me up out of those like soggy days is like, yo, like I have people that like legit look up to me, and I have people that look at me as a role model, and I have people that literally be like, yo, Heck is the man. And I'm like, yo, you really think that? Like, you really think that? And they're like, yo, you putting on for us. Like, it's not really people like that. And it's one of those things where it really took me a while because I'm a very humble dude. I try not to let things get to my head because a lot of people, tú sabes, se llenan de aire, and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not like that. But I realized that, and I was like, yo, like, I got to keep on hustling. I got to keep on putting on because there's people looking at me. You know what I mean? Like, I've spoken to fifth graders, and the reaction they had to seeing somebody that looked like them in a certain in a different space was like, oh shit, that's crazy. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
for me, like it's a beautiful thing to just share my story and be genuine, bro. Like, you gotta be yourself. Porque dime, if
Yeah.
you're not being yourself, then what are you being? You're being an
Yeah.
imposter.
And I think it goes even deeper than just like looking like you, right? Because you're speaking like them, you know what I mean? Like you're dressing
Facts.
like them as well, right? Because you could
Facts.
walk in there and be like one of these corporate dudes and like to your point, right? Like you can be an imposter and they're gonna be like, who's this lame ass dude, bro? Like I ain't trying to fuck
Right,
with him.
right. Facts.
But
Man.
it's so interesting, man. We talk about sales because I'm in sales too. And like even going back to that train example, right? Like that's a very transactional relationship, right? Like it's a one-time thing. You may or may not see them again, right?
Right.
But these days, right, like you're selling yourself to um distributors, for example, right? And these are like long-term relationships, right?
Facts.
So I know for me, like I always say, like I used to work at Facebook, now I'm at TikTok, but like before I was like, I'm a full-time Facebook employee, but I'm also a full-time actor because when I go into these meetings, I'm like, oh, how do you do it, sir? All this kind of shit.
Facts.
But then it was really tough. But when I started really, really doing well at my job is when I stopped doing that and just being myself. You know what I mean? But like,
Facts.
did you have that moment where you started to code switch and eventually just like, you know what, this isn't me. Let me just be
Yeah.
myself, or like, were you always like that?
I would say it was very interesting for me because a pillar to my success has been like the supermarkets, the local supermarkets, and most supermarkets, like 90% plus, are owned by Dominicans or Latinos and Latinas. You know what I mean? So like I didn't really have to be an engineering self. You know what I mean? Like I was just I would try to be more Dominican and try to be more Hispano, and I'm like, damn, son, like I'm homies just kicking in Spanish. I gotta do a sales pitch in Spanish. Espérate. That's a whole different ballgame. You know what I mean? So for me, it wasn't that difficult. I would say I do farmers markets in Westchester. You know what I mean? And it's pretty dope to meet different kinds of people from different backgrounds, and they look at us like, yo, y'all from the Bronx and y'all come all the way up here, and I'm like, yeah, bro, like this, we hustling, we gotta do what we gotta do. You know what I mean? And people really resonate with us and my culture. Like they'll ask me what kind of coffee would you recommend, and I'm like, I don't want to be biased, but you got to get the Dominicano. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, why is that? And it's like, yo soy de ahí. It's a beautiful coffee. All of my coffees are amazing, but you got to try this Dominican. And it's like me representing for my culture. Oh, you from the, where are you guys based? We're based in the Bronx. We're based in the Bronx. Yeah, I don't know what you want me to tell you. We're based in the Bronx. Oh, what coffee you recommend? El Dominicano. I'm putting on for the community. You know what I mean? And people ask me, how do you guys get started? And I tell them the whole shebang. Oh, this kid went to college. Oh, por no bruto. Okay, got it. Cool. All right. So you started with this, that. Okay, cool. You learned roasting. You did everything on your own. So, people really appreciate when you're being yourself. You know what I mean? Because when you're trying to kiss ass, it's just like you're just looking up to what they're already putting out for you. You know what I mean? But people really appreciate you being yourself, and they appreciate somebody being different and unique. You know what I mean? Like, that's all it is, bro. Like, I think sometimes people try too much to be like everybody else, but they can't stand out because they look like everybody else or they sound like everybody else. You know what I mean?
Have you always been like that, or did you have a moment where you were just like, I'm just gonna be myself?
No, bro. You know what's crazy, bro? I'll tell you the truth. In my freshman year of high school and some of my sophomore, I used to try to get down with people, and oh damn, they wearing Jordans. My mom ain't buying me that. Oh, mom, like they're wearing polo boots. I want that. She's like, nah. You know what I mean? Like, you trying to fit in. You trying to wear what they wear. You trying to talk how they talk. You want to listen to what they listen to, and you try to be down. And then I think when I was, when I really had a pivotal experience. So when I dropped out of high school and I wasn't going, my mom found out. My mom did the El Dominican mom treatment, bro. She sent me back to DR, bro. I was in El Campo for 6 months, and I was working, bro, busting my ass, picking onions, working on watermelons in the Campo, like se fue la luz, the whole shebang, bro, like cooking in a anafe with the wood fire, the whole nine, bro. Like, I was deep for 6 months. And in that experience, I was like 16. I was like, yo, like, it's real out here. You know what I mean? Like, this is where I'm from, though. And I embraced it like, yo, this is where I'm from. I love this place. But, like, it's rough out here, and I got to get my life together. And when I saw how many kids didn't go to school back home, and I was like, yo, y'all really need the school, though. You know what I mean? Like, y'all really need the education. Y'all really need the resources. It was like, nah, heck, you sound like a hypocrite because – you're not going to school. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to teach kids game on educating themselves. And it's like, but you don't even go to school, son. So then I came back like, all right, like, you know what, bro, get your life together. Add some value to yourself. Because if you don't have any education or anything like that, what kind, you don't have any value in terms of certifications or a degree. If you want a corporate job, you ain't getting one. You know what I'm saying? If you want a good 9 to 5, you might not get one. Like, it's going to be a lot of hurdles. And I know him and I know her. And you know what I mean? It's just a different world. So for me, it was like, you know what, add value to yourself. And that experience just made me embrace who I am. Like, you're seeing Dominicano that from this countryside. I came back and I was just like, y'all want to do that? That's cool. I can't afford that. Cool. Y'all want to go out with some Jones? Y'all could do that. I can't afford that, bro. Like, I don't got money like that, bro. Like, I just don't. I'm a poor kid from the Bronx. That's Dominicano from the Campo, and that's just who I am. And I think after that experience, I came back to school. And I just hit the ground running, bro. I became a leader. You know what I mean? I started doing leadership activities. I started volunteering at community gardens, and I got to just do different things than I was used to. And it just the whole shebang. I just started getting more experiences in different environments.
I love that,
I
man.
I
That's
actually
dope.
got an internship experience from a lady I met on the train. Her name is Migna, and she saw me selling candy on the train or at 77th Street, and she came up to me and she asked me. She was like, I lied, it was 68th Street because the cops pulled up at 77th Street. Because the cops harass you on the train, by the way.
Oh yeah.
They'll take your candy and your money until you don't come back here. Anyways, The cops pulled up at 77th Street, so took the train one stop to 68th Street. Then I was selling my candy there, and then I was standing by the stairs, and I was selling my fruit snacks, and this lady comes up to me in this suit and with her suitcase, and she looks at me and she just asks me, "Hey kid, you ever thought about going to college?" And I looked at her like, "Nah." And I was selling candy after school, after I went back to high school, and I was like, "Nah, I never really thought about that. Why?" She's like, "Here's my business card. You should come see me." She's like, "Email me, and you should come see me in my office." And I'm over here like, "Son, I gotta send an email. How do I write an email?" So then I literally Googled how to write an email, you know what I mean? The whole shebang, the hello and the kind regards at the bottom. And it was weird for me. And that was when I made my first professional Gmail. Cause I had, we all have our crazy things from our
Yeah,
teens.
yeah. Yo, I had Young DR Baller 27.
Yeah, I forgot what I had. It was like no cap 06 or something like that. I don't know. So yeah. I did that. I sent it. You know what I mean? Then she invited me to her office for lunch or after school. And then I went and I was like, yo, this is a whole shebang. This is an office. It was 420 Lexington, Grand Central, bro, like 25th floor. I literally went after selling candy, like after I knew the appointment date, and I went to H&M and bought a suit, bro, for like 150. And I pulled up to the meeting. Before the meeting, I went to my brother's house and I was like, yo, bro, tie my tie and put
Yeah,
it
yeah.
on me because I ain't know nothing. And it was a crazy experience, bro. And that was when I first sparked like, damn, like, maybe I should go to college and whatnot. And that lady offered me an internship at her office. And that was the first environment where I used to go in with a suit. I wore the same suit every day, bro. I just changed my shirts
Oh,
and my
yeah.
undershirts. And I was just like, yo, that's my suit. I started going there. I started meeting people, in corporate America, and they would talk business and stocks and bonds and life insurance and things like that.
What
And
was
I
that
was,
like?
bro, that shit was different. It was a different world, and that was my first real exposure. Like,
Mm-hmm.
son, like I used to go to high school, bro, in the South Bronx, wearing a suit. Homies used to look at me like I was crazy. Like, why is this kid wearing a suit right now? And it's because I would have my internship right after. So she was like, yo, whatever you make selling candy, I just pay you. So you don't sell
Wow.
candy no more. And then I just stopped selling candy and I started going to that office every day after school. We actually even had a learning to work program as well that paid you to intern. And yeah, bro, it was different. It was
So
it was a crazy
so you're
experience.
telling me even back then you were comfortable being yourself in that environment for the first time?
That environment was different. Like
Okay.
I had to learn to conform to that environment because I didn't know what that environment was like. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know what that was like. I was very quiet actually. I used to just get there, get introduced to people. Where you from? I'm Dominican. I'm from the Bronx. I go to this school. I like this and I like that. You know what I mean? Because at that point I was very observative. I was in a space I didn't understand. I didn't know what that was like.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody that I saw in front of me, I just thought they were better than me. They were just smarter than me. You know what I mean? It would make sense, right? And yeah, bro, I was very quiet, very observative. I wasn't really too out there like that back then, unless it was like a impromptu meeting after, and then there was talking about their days in college and high school and their family, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, yo soy dominicano, and I like this and I like that, and I'm from here, and my family's like this, and they do it, so yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm like, bro, you were born all this shit. I'm like, damn,
Nah,
this
nah,
dude's
nah.
crazy, bro.
It,
All
it,
right, all
it,
right.
it's been going up. You know what I mean? Like the more experience I get, the more I realize to just be myself. Like I've seen a lot. I've tried before to be like the norm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it ain't nothing like being yourself. You know what I mean? This is my experience.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody's experience is different. Once you embrace it, you see a whole different side of yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nah, that's facts, man. And it's interesting too, man. I was having a conversation with someone else the other day, and she's not in the coffee industry, but she's in the wine industry. And this quote like always stuck with me. And I kind of think about it like maybe it applies to coffee as well. But she said, like when we think of wine, we often think of the Latinx community or Latinos or Latinas as the farmers and not as the owners.
Facts.
Um, and I'm wondering, like, because like honestly, I can't name a Latino winemaker. Like maybe that's just ignorance on my part, right? But like, what is diversity like even within the coffee industry? Like, is that a challenge as well?
It's the same thing, bro. Literally the
Yeah.
same thing. The same quote applies to us. And that's kind of what I was touching on earlier in the equity part. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yesterday, I was with this farmer from San Jose de la Mata, Sahoma, in Dominican Republic, and we were just trying some coffee samples from his farm and talking about, you know what I mean, the quality that it has, how it can improve. It's really good though, you know what I mean. And I was
Mhm.
just like, yo, anything could always be better. I could always be a better roaster. I could always be a better salesperson. You know what I mean. So I was just like, yo, this is great. How can we make it even better? This is what we need to do. And me and him really resonated with each other because it was just like, yo, like we trying to talk about equity. Like Dominican Republic imports more coffee than it exports. How does a country that produces
Really?
something, bro, we import more coffee than we export? How does that make sense? We produce the product. We consume so much coffee that we import more to fulfill the demand. Most of our high quality product that's niche, it's a very small amount, gets
Yeah.
exported here to Europe, to Japan, and stuff like that. And we don't get the cream of the crop. Same thing in Colombia, bro. They don't drink the cream of the crop. That all gets exported, and they drink to sabes the low grade and stuff like that. Unless they have small shops, but it's not to the same degree as here. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, the equity is not the same. Like we're all producers, we all sell it, we all get chump change. The people who get the least amount of money, in coffee is the farmers itself. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? For the amount of money you get for a latte and a drip coffee here, it's $3.50, $4. Hey, they're getting cents on that. They're getting cents. They're not getting a full blown dollar. You know what I mean? So it's like that, and that's what I'm talking about equity. So when I throw equity around, it's that sense of like, yo, let's work, let's build. You know what I'm saying? Like let me pay you more and you produce a higher quality. Let me pay you more and we build a good relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, we're getting there. You know what I mean? This is whole new movement right now. My boy Bartholomew from Memphis, his brand is Coffee Black, and it's just
Yeah.
make coffee black again. You know what I mean? And I rock with it so hard because it's like, yo, like it's funny because it's you could twist it, and it's like just drink coffee black, just make coffee black again. You know what I mean? But then at the same time, it's like make coffee black again in terms of ownership. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we produce the coffee. Coffee started in Ethiopia. You know what I'm saying? Like it started in Africa and then it got brought out to different places and we produce it, but we don't own it. The people making the real money is the people here who own all these shops and all these roasting rooms, and they get the real bag for the bag that's produced back home. You know what I mean? So now we're in that transition of like, yo, let's be more aware of where our money goes and who we buy from, and that's what I call ethical consumerism, where you gotta be on you're on top of where you're spending your money. Like I tell people, like you might not have time to go protest at Wall Street. You might not have time to go protest at Times Square, but you could protest with your dollars. You could talk with your money. So it matters where your money goes because you're making a statement with that. You know what I mean? So that's where things like USC organic and fair trade come in and all of these things, which is a whole nother ball game. But do your research and you will know the truth about people. You know what I mean? Nowadays we have so many resources and information flying around. It's easy for people to get educated.
That's interesting, man. That's why it's so crazy. Well, that's why like I love your business so much because like the impact that you're driving is so much bigger than even you, right? Like
Right.
the money that you're making, right, potentially is even going back into the Bronx, but even like from a supplier standpoint, right? Like you're getting these beans from the community as well. You know what I mean? Like people that look like you, people that are from your background, man. So like as you grow, like essentially like everyone around you is growing as well.
Facts, exactly. And honestly, it's very tough to get beans directly because, like, when you're a small scale producer and like, well, at least when you're a small scale roaster or coffee brand, the
Yeah.
volume that you're moving is not significant to the point where it makes sense for you to move in these volumes. When you import stuff from one country to another, bro, it's all about volume. It's all big numbers. It's all
Yeah.
containers, 40,000 plus pounds. Like it's ridiculous. So then typically what my trick is like, yo, let me just work with people. Like I don't look at people like they're my competitors. I'm like, bro, we don't gotta be going head. We don't got a headbutt. We clearly got two different clienteles. Like, bro, let's just unite. If all three of us, all four of us unite and we buy this together, we can all get a better price. We can all get it here easily, and we can all help the community. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing about the coffee industry. Like right now, I've been blessed to meet people who wavelength, and they're just like, yo, like yes, we're competitors, Pero loco, we're gonna be alright. Like you serve a whole different demographic. I'm good, you good, Bro, the coffee industry is huge. You know what I mean? We'll be alright. And it's that sense of like, yo, it's hard to do these big moves, but when you combine the people and get support from the community, you're able to execute them. You know, and that's kind of my mentality toward moving forward. Like, yo, let's unite. Let me buy all this coffee from this farm, and let me talk to local homies. Like, yo, I got this Dominican. You want to try this? Like, I don't want to just hold all of it. I'd rather that farmer sells more coffee, bro. If you sell Dominican, I sell Dominican. Now we're all making money. We're all moving this guy's coffee, and we all win at the ending of the day.
Yeah.
Maybe you might roast it better than me. I don't know. I might roast it better than you. Bro, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Somebody's buying it from you. Somebody's buying it from me. That's it. You feel me? So, it's everybody gonna eat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
That's dope, man. And I love that. And I know we're at time, man. So I'll finish up with this one last question. As you move forward, right, and you think about, just continuing in your journey, right? Because no one's finished. We're still learning. What's one thing that continues to inspire you and empower you to continue being your most authentic self?
I would say I think about where I come from, you know what I mean, and my family. The logo of my company is my grandfather. I see my nephew here, at the office sometimes, and I'm just always like, you know what I mean, like, how can I keep on living what my grandfather lived that came to an end? How can I carry that torch forward? And then how can I look at my little nephew and be like, yo, listen, we're Dominican. Nosotros hablamos español, inglés, lo que sea. Listen, we're the new generation. Nosotros bebemos café, nosotros comemos sancocho. Like, let's just keep on being ourselves. And I always look at my little nephew and I'm like, yo, you're the coolest kid I know. Like, you're perfect how you are, man. Don't worry about it. Just how you speak, how you look. Don't worry about it. Like, you're good. You're the coolest kid I know, and you're my best friend. You know what I mean? Like, I talk to him, and I'm like, yo, let me give you some confidence. It's okay to be yourself. And I think us to be the most authentic piece that we could be, it's just like, you just embrace where you come from and who you are. Some people don't like that, and they want to build something different. That's cool. But I think it's important for you to, just embrace your Dominicanness, your Latino-ness, your cafecito-ness. Like, whatever you like, wherever you're from, just embrace it. You know what I mean? And if it's not something you identify with, that's cool. Whatever you identify with, just embrace it. Just embrace whatever makes you feel comfortable and whatever you think is you.